Have you ever played a sport and wondered when it started, all its history, things like that? This is the history of golf. Golf is one of the, if not the world's oldest sport. People have been playing it and enjoying golf for thousands of years. The earliest documentation of golf dates back to the reign of Julius Caesar in 49 BC. People would hit little like leather balls with feathers in them, with sticks, kind of like the caveman clubs. They would hit those to sticks in the ground just for fun. No real rules to it. They just hit balls with sticks, kind of what we do in golf now. The After that, the second earliest documentation of golf would be in the Song Dynasty in China. This was in the years 1960 to 1280 AD. They would do the same thing. Instead of just hitting it with random sticks, they would hit it with kind of shaped sticks. Get the idea of what a golf club looks like. They would carve the sticks a little bit. Nothing too in-depth, nothing serious. Still the same idea, just hitting it to a stick in the ground. The earliest documentation of golf closest to what we play today would be in Scotland. That was documented in 1457. They really enjoyed golf, enjoyed it so much that they would be distracted from work. The King James II had to outlaw golf because his soldiers would skip out on training just to go play golf almost daily. So even though that's the closest to our golf now, it was outlawed maybe 2 years, if that, after they started playing it. But they had the idea of a hole in the ground instead of just hitting it to a stick. Still the idea of random shaped clubs and leather balls. When someone thinks of the golf today, instead of Scotland, if you know a lot about golf, they would seem to think golf comes from Great Britain. That is the closest possible in history to the golf we play today. Great Britain wasn't introduced to golf. That's Scotland. Oh, there we go. Great Britain wasn't introduced to golf until the 17th century, even though it's been along for, as I said, over 1,800 years before. It wasn't until 1860 that the first golf tournament was played. This was called the British Open. It is still one of the largest tournaments played today. People from all over the world come to watch the British Open. It's televised on TV every year. It's one of the 4 majors that pro golfers play every year. Now let's talk about how golf spread from Europe and Asia, all that. It came over to North America. Canada heard about the golf craze going on in Europe. They decided it was a good idea to try to build a golf course in North America to see if it brought any business over to North America, as I said. They started the Canadian Royal Montreal Club in 1870. It was and still is one of the most popular golf clubs in Canada today. After the U.S. heard of all this, people were traveling from Canada to the U.S., from the U.S. to Canada just to play golf. They decided it would be a good idea to build a golf course here in the United States. They built the first golf club in the United States, the Chicago Club, built in 1893 in Wheaton, Illinois. That still is one of the most popular golf clubs in the United States. Now let's talk about the golf club itself. According to golfeurope.net, clubs were made of wood, strong wood. The club heads were made of beech, holly, pear, and apple. Those are some of the strongest woods we have. The club shafts were made of ash or basil. They were put together with leather straps. Doesn't sound like the most reliable way of making a golf club. which is why every round players would be expected to break at least one club a round. This is where it became known that golf is a rich man's sport. They were constantly putting money into their sets, buying new clubs every time they played. This isn't the earliest club made. The earliest ones you didn't have photographs for, didn't have cameras. But this is a wooden club. It still has the wood shaft. Instead of a leather strap, it has thread holding it together. It's still the idea of wood, same thing for the most part. The first full set of clubs was in 1502 by King James IV of Scotland. King James III decided to allow golf to be legal again, and that's when it became very popular in Scotland. King James IV, his set contained only 7 clubs. Nowadays, we have 14 clubs per set. The United States Golf Association, they're the ones that made this rule. They made this rule in 1939. That's the same year that golf clubs today were made. These are made of steel and aluminum, the club heads are. The shafts are made of graphite. These are the same clubs we use today, as I said. Now, in conclusion, I have 4 main points. I messed up on that, I added an extra one. First, as I said, one of the oldest sports played. It can be played competitively in tournaments for enjoyment, going out with your boss, friends. It's a great way to meet new people. It brings all people together. It's people of all different races, ethnicities, nationalities. They're all brought together by golf, which is something that seems to be really important in today's day and time. And last thing, it's a great sport to learn because it's one of the only sports you could play for the rest of your life, till the day you die. People play golf. I know a 96-year-old that still plays daily. So it's something you can play for the rest of your life. And that's it.